The first sutra is called Master Your Fate. What does that mean? What does master your fate What could it mean, master your fate? Yes. So you have control of what is going to happen to you in the future. Right? So how many of you know how to do that? Does anybody have? Do you know how? Do you know how to control what will happen to you in the future? Do you want to learn? Let me start with a story. How many of you have heard of Nelson Mandela? Everyone. Okay. Who is Nelson Mandela? South African. Okay. How many of you are more than 27 years old? No hands. Okay. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years continuously. So he was in prison continuously for longer than you have been alive. He was in prison in South Africa when he was a black and apartheid was going on. And you cannot imagine what that means. He must have been brutalized so much, right? He must have seen his friends who were also with him in the jail dying, being tortured. This was his experience. And all this were done to him by the white South Africans. And then he came out and he was the first black president of South Africa after the apartheid. When India had partition, there was a bloodbath. Okay, the number of people that died and the number of atrocities that were committed is unbelievable. South Africa, when they transitioned from a white supremacist state to a democratic state, did anything like that happen? No. Why? Might have happened. I mean, for hundreds of years, they were oppressed by the whites. Nothing like that happened. One man was responsible, Nelson Mandela. Have any of you seen a movie called Invictus? 1, 2, good. Don't miss that movie, okay? Because that movie is about how he did it. All the blacks who were supporting him, they hated what he was doing. They hated it. They wanted to take revenge. He said, no. We will become the rainbow country. They call themselves the rainbow country. 27 years he was in prison. So many things he has seen. And all his friends, colleagues, all of them wanted to have a bloodbath. If he had said, and if that bloodbath had happened, and if he said, no, what could I do? We were all oppressed for so long. There was nothing I could do. If he had said there's nothing I could do and this bloodbath happened, nobody would really blame him because they knew what it was like. He said, no, I will not allow it to happen. And the movie Invictus is how he said he will make sure it did not happen. If he had said, what could I do? That means he has chosen to become a victim of circumstances. Things go wrong in life. There is no life where things don't go wrong. Okay, something will happen. I know many of my friends, their father was, running a small grocery store. Now they've come here. So some of them feel, these people who grew up in an environment where the father encouraged them to read, they are so lucky. Look at me. I am a victim of my circumstances. Then you find, a boss both Kadu's boss he is making my life hell. And what can I do about it? Then, this Whitefield traffic, what can I do every day? So there are circumstances. When you fail, you fail to do something, right? You were supposed to deliver some work. It didn't happen. And the story you tell yourself is important. Why couldn't I deliver on time? If you choose to say, I couldn't do it because of things that are outside yourself. Yeah, there were 3 days, the traffic was horrible, I had this problem, my boss was shouting at me, I was getting phone calls from my house, they're very upset at me because of something. Circumstances which are outside you, if you place blame for failure on things which are outside of you, you are a victim of circumstances. If you say, I failed this time, what change do I have to bring in myself? What should I improve in myself so that it doesn't happen again? If you look for the reason for failure inside yourself, not outside, not your boss, not your HR, not your colleagues, I was dependent on that guy delivering this. Huh? Maybe you should have marked what you were supposed to deliver to you and finish your portion of the code. Yeah? I mean, could you figure out some way, right? Maybe if he was struggling, maybe you sat with him, helped him finish so that you could finish. Can you look inside yourself and say, what do I do differently next time so that this doesn't happen again? To become the master of your fate, you have to learn to do that. Okay? Every time you fail, you look inside yourself to decide why I failed, how can I make sure it doesn't happen again. Then you can control what happens to you.